Hi everyone, I am Riddhi Bhattacharya, a student, freelance blogger, writer, and editor at the Teen Pop magazine. My passion resides in etching down the feelings of my heart and the notions of my mind and conveying them to the world with my speeches, articles, debates, and blogs. And today, I'm in conversation with Bridget Moore. Bridget Moore is a Los Angeles based artist who is better known under the moniker Handsome Girl. She mainly focuses on digital illustrations revolving around intersectional feminism, body positivity, and female empowerment. Deeply rooted in the movement of inclusion and representation, Handsome Girl is on a mission to make sure women of all backgrounds and experiences are seen and heard. Her design path started as a therapeutic outlet for her own eating disorder, in which she secretly struggled on and off for over 15 years. Moore started drawing as a way to celebrate the beauty of her own body and other women's bodies, celebrating all the different shapes and their experiences and the various forms in which beauty can come in is one of her favorite things to do. Later on, she moved on to adding playful takes on sexual health, snacks, and positive affirmations. She has used all the things that have been fundamental elements in her own personal recovery and ongoing journey to practice self love and appreciation for all the diverse beauty in this world. Hi, Bridget, how are you doing?
Wonderful. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm really happy to be in conversation with you. So, you have been very vocal about the Black Lives Matter movement. So, could you tell us your personal relationship with the Black Lives Matter movement?
Yeah, so this one to me is definitely something I've never experienced. I find that I'm not kind of a out in the streets type of activist, but this one, it kind of spoke volumes to me, as the anger and the tension started to rise, especially, in the streets of Los Angeles down the street from me. It was really hard to ignore. And it really made me reflect on the way I was raised. I grew up in an incredibly loving family that essentially taught me to be colorblind, that you shouldn't pay attention to somebody's skin color or background or really anything, and you just love them as a person. And I grew up thinking that's what you did. And as this movement started to gain momentum, I realized that was almost a form of, some people could consider racism, being colorblind and ignoring somebody's race and their hardships that they went through. Mm-hmm. So it really struck a chord with me to go back and unlearn things. And I didn't want to do that in secret. I wanted to share the fact that I was owning who I was, what I was taught, and that I'm taking a stand thinking that it's wrong. And also taking accountability that I have privilege and I need to use it in the best power I know how, which for me is through my platform, and raising awareness that, yes, it is extremely uncomfortable for a white woman who has lived a privileged life to step in and try to have a voice in this movement, but there is a way we can artfully do it. We're not talking over anyone who is directly affected by what's going on in this world, but we are listening and we are learning how to be the best allies possible.
I think I really like what you said about, unlearning something you once learned in order to be, a better version of yourself, to be more inclusive and, build a sense of solidarity between women of various backgrounds, races, cultures, languages, and, be more accommodating to various people and looking at people for who they are instead of, where they are from or what skin color they have. I really, really like what you said about that. So, have you ever witnessed or seen anybody that's close to you, a friend, a family maybe, who has been a victim of racism? And if so, how have you, raised your voice against it?
Now, I have been pretty blessed at not experiencing racism or even being in a direct situation where I've seen it from a friend or a family member. So I'm not going to lie that I definitely grew up in a bubble of it. So what I kind of see is through the lens of TV or other people's stories that I don't have a direct connection with. So I make it a point to really try to put myself as if I was part of those situations and really question what I would do if
you were in those
saw
shoes.
it. Exactly.
You know how many Black Lives Matter activists are using this momentum to, raise voice against other issues like economic inequality and discrimination against Black LGBTQ people. Why is this intersectional approach to activism important, and does it blur the focus of the BLM movement?
I don't think it really blurs the movement. I think it does really pinpoint that there are so many moving parts of what it means in this country right now. The systemic racism that we've kind of grown to develop as a country, it hits on so many levels. And I feel like to really correct the problem, we have to identify every issue.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially, I mean, like, with involving the trans community,
Mm-hmm.
if you're a Black person and trans, I could not imagine what that is like to live in this current climate. There has to be a level of fear that no one in this world deserves to ever carry. So I think it's really important that we vocalize every aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I completely agree with you on that. Mm-hmm. So, the Black Lives Matter organization was founded and started 7 years ago by three Black women: Alicia Garza, Patrice Cullors, and Opal Sumeti. As a woman yourself, how do you perceive the success of this movement? And what would you like to tell those people that believe that women don't deserve to have a role of power?
Sit down and shut up and listen, because I feel like these women who started it were such a force past their time. I mean, they started this when people were still not fully understanding what was like under the Trump administration. It has hate and open racism, and if it wasn't for these women to really step in and start building the foundation then, I don't think the movement would be what it is right now. We owe a lot of thanks for them to put in so much legwork for us. And I think it really drives home the point to what women see in this world it goes so much deeper than the surface. Mm-hmm. Women are so intuitive and connected to other people, and the empathy that they have, I feel like really kind of drives into what this movement is truly about.
Mm-hmm. So you go by the moniker Handsome Girl, which is basically about, intersectional feminism, body positivity, and women empowerment. So when did you announce yourself as a feminist?
I don't think I actually ever had a announcement. I grew up in a family that was 4 women and my dad. So I was raised where a woman's voice was equal, if not maybe a little louder than a man's. so or any of it. And I don't think it really started to resonate until later in life that my mom actually raised me to be a feminist. And I think once I started to identify my morals with the movement of feminism is when I started to realize, like, all right, yeah, I am one.
So, previously our main fight was to attain basic rights. What do you think is the biggest struggle or like fight of women and girls as of today?
Unfortunately, it's still the same. I mean, we want not the basic rights, but just equal rights across all aspects of life. We are, sure, we have our founding fathers, right? But I feel like women are truly co-founders of any aspect, especially work, relationships. We work together with men every day, and we deserve to be treated as equals. It hurts that still in 2020 that we are still trying to get equal pay as men, something small as that, or even in politics, having our voices heard and not diminished by men, or even in the judicial system. So I feel like it's still challenging across the board on everything, but I feel like we are now finding that we are stronger in numbers and learning to support each other, and finally getting the courage to step up and really sit at the table that we have deserved to sit at for so long.
That's wonderfully explained. So, what is your take on the patriarchy?
It's really hard not to roll my eyes at it. The patriarchy, like I kind of mentioned with our founding fathers, we were raised with that system. So it is definitely kind of hard to step away from it. Men in this, at least I can speak in the US, have been taught that they are the owners of this country. They're the bosses, they're the bigwigs. And it's not the truth. I mean, like I was kind of saying, women carry equal weight in the growth, the economy, all the infrastructure that we do in this country. So the fact that we still have these like gender stereotypes is kind of like maddening to me. I mean, even with like the army, women go through the same training as men, yet are treated less than, which really blows my mind.
So, what would you like to say to people that say that feminism is all about man-hating?
Ooh, I would suggest that they have to do some, even just light reading. I mean, if you really kind of do a simple Google search and really learn about the movement, you'll see it has nothing to do with hating men. It is, in the simplest of form, just about being equal to men. I find that people that kind of take the approach of, oh, you're doing this because you hate men, I feel like that's coming from a place of fear that they are being challenged of somebody stepping up to them as an equal, especially for people that have been taught for so long that men are kind of the top tier of their communities or their families or anything of that sort. But I feel like if they really took a step back and learned even just like the first 3 sentences about what the movement really means, they would have a little bit more of an open mind to it.
I completely agree with you because I personally have met a lot of people in my personal life who keep on claiming and saying that, feminism is all about man hating and that being a feminist is now, being anti-men. And I don't see why there should be even an iota of, doubt about whether feminism is about man hating or not. Because if you would take the time and the patience to research and look into a bit of literature about what feminism actually is, I believe there's no question about it or any iota of doubt regarding whether feminism is about man hating or it isn't. So I completely resonate with you on that.
Yeah, it's like, because I mean, I get a lot of just direct messages on my Instagram about questioning why I hate men. Sit back and be like, I've never actually mentioned it once. People are just jumping to this assumption. I don't know. It's mind blowing.
So, speaking about your art, how do you incorporate feminism, body positivity, and women empowerment in your artwork? How do you portray your views and opinions in it?
My whole goal with what I do is I wanted to build a community where people felt not only welcomed, but seen. I feel like they're being body positive and being like, love your body can only go so far. Because if I'm telling you to love your body and I'm only looking a certain way or, acting a certain way, it might not necessarily resonate with you. I feel like there's more power in actually seeing yourself portrayed in a beautiful way. So I set out to include, I want to say everybody, but I'm going to be working until the day I die to do that. So I'm working to include as many stories and experiences I can, because I truly feel the representation has such a power when it comes to, empowering women. When they feel seen, I feel like that's when they can finally hear the message.
You previously mentioned that there had been 4 women in your family and your dad. So I'm assuming you have 2 sisters and a mom. So have you ever tried depicting your mother or your sisters in your artwork?
I have a little bit. I actually just recently did my eldest sister, who she has stage 4 ovarian cancer. And she is one of the most amazing and strong, empowering women that I know. I mean, if you looked at her, you'd be like, what? You are struggling and battling this mentally. And she is just like living her life. So I was really honored a couple of weeks ago to be able to draw her. And I've also done my other sister who has, like myself, battled an eating disorder. So it was really great to encompass the stories that I can really relate closely with.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with you.
My mom, not yet.
Oh, not yet? Do you still look like, do you plan on drawing her yet?
I want to, but obviously, she has to be comfortable with it.
What's the one thing you would like to tell young women in order to urge them to become a feminist?
Never make yourself smaller. You deserve to be and live the largest life possible. So never make yourself smaller to feel like you need to fit into a conversation, to fit into a place with friends or family or anyone. Live as loud and large as possible.
Wow, that's really nice and warm of you to say. So thank you, Bridget, for being part of this, for agreeing to this interview and giving me the amazing opportunity to speak with you and, converse on such diverse issues.
Likewise, I really appreciate the time.
If you would like to know more about Bridget, her journey, and her lifestyle, stay tuned with the Teen Pop magazine.